Well, there are two paths, and you just want to have clarity. The path that I teach focuses on YouTube search, but most of the advice that you'll get out there, they might talk about keywords, but they're not going to lead you to dominating search. Their goal is to help you get viral videos and get as many views as possible and to turn YouTube into a business.
Hey, what if every YouTube search result that your prospects click led straight to you and your calendar filled itself while you slept? Well, today's guest has built that reality for more than 60 coaches and creators. I want to welcome you back to the root of all success. I am the real Jason Duncan, and this is episode number 313. My guest is Nate Woodbury. He's a YouTube producer. He's a strategist. He's the founder of Be the Hero Studios. And Nate's team of 35 people has turned channels into seven-figure lead machines by winning the search bar, not the algorithm lottery. So Nate, welcome to the show.
Yeah, awesome to be here. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, well, after 60 plus channels and millions in track sales, what's the single biggest misconception that business owners still have about YouTube lead generation?
Yeah, good question. So promo videos and sending traffic to a sales video, that's critical, right? And that's key. But a lot of people think, well, if I want to make sales on my YouTube channel, I just got to put promo videos on the channel. Well, they obviously don't do very well. They're not going to get a lot of views. People aren't searching for them. And so the misconception is just that there's a much better way. Maybe the other misconception, the other side of it would be I've got to have a video go viral. If a video goes viral, then my business will be set. And that's actually not true either. So, yeah.
Those are good ones. I've only had a couple of videos go viral in my brief stint as a quasi content creator, and neither one of them led directly to revenue. Although they help the brand, they're not leading directly to booked calls and revenue. Well, take us back to your pivot from web design into video. So, what early data point convinced you YouTube would beat SEO at its own game?
Yeah, so I had a custom web design service. I didn't have any programming background, but I knew how to use tools to create beautiful websites. And then I wanted to have my clients get results, right? So let's get these websites ranked on Google. And we started doing a lot of link building and article marketing. And one of the things that we would do is we'd create a YouTube video. And if we put that video on the page, we'd put an infographic on the page and all this hard work, we did get the pages ranked number one on Google. Well, one day I was looking at the data, like how many views is this page getting? How many visitors are we getting? And then I also compared it to this video on YouTube and noticed, wait a minute, this video over on YouTube has got 50 times more views than this page has visitors. What is up with that? And so then I looked at another example and another one, and I kept seeing the same results or the same pattern, and so obviously it caused me to take notice, because that's what we wanted a attraction, or we wanted these visitors. And so I just started to pivot and say, well, let's just focus on this one piece because we're getting more results there. And it was obviously a lot less complicated, we'll say, than doing all the website SEO stuff. And admittedly, I started to sense that search engines were changing anyway. And so this seemed like a good way to really just move with the changing landscape.
Well, as I understand it, you commit clients to a daily upload cadence for 2 solid years. All right. So how do you help them push past this 6-month content fatigue wall that I'm sure they hit?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for clarity, I do recommend many years of this strategy, but my contract is 1 year. And maybe we can talk in specific as well, because I've actually just in the last year figured out how to get results, even if you just launch one episode a week, which I do recommend going more aggressive than that. You'll get more results just because you get more views and more traction. But if we're talking about the fatigue or the burnout, the biggest help, there's two things that I can touch on. One is when we do keyword research, it opens up a whole world of topic ideas in the form of questions. So, they might want to be talking about productivity and how many videos could you make about productivity. But when you find that there's a specific question that a dental team is asking, or a specific team that a construction group is asking, or different productivity tools, you find a limitless supply of topics to talk about. So that really helps, just being able to talk about a much bigger variety of things in your space. And then the other thing that really helps with avoiding the burnout is we track the results. We just keep a boring spreadsheet that becomes exciting. We put all these questions on the spreadsheet and we check the ranking. Like, okay, if we type this question into YouTube, do you rank at the top? Yes or no? So we start out with all these no's. But when you start to see those no's turn into yeses, and then a month later, even more yeses, it actually becomes pretty exciting. And so you're excited about continuing to film because you can see the results. In the olden days of website SEO, that was a hard one because website SEO was so slow and so gradual, and we didn't really have a way of tracking that. And so the fatigue was real, and fatigue is real for us as well. But those are the best tools I have to compete with that.
Describe a time when a channel launch flopped, and what did you learn about audience intent from that setback?
Yeah, I mean, because I've produced a lot of channels. 60 plus is the number that I use, but it's going to be well more than that. And there's been a small handful of them that haven't really worked. I don't want to. Let me give you a couple examples without throwing anyone under the bus, and I'll be as transparent as I can. One channel, he was in the real estate investing space, and we did everything right. He was coachable to my strategy. So why did it not work? We were looking at the analytics, and he was still getting traction in an obscure area. I don't remember what it was, but just something like fly fishing or backpack, something like that, something outdoor related, I believe. And his channel already had an audience. And so when we posted video on real estate investing, the algorithm's trying to figure out, well, look, your existing audience doesn't like that. So we should have noticed that from the beginning. And my bad, I didn't. What we launched a brand new channel. We took down all the real estate videos off of that channel and just started launching them on the new channel, and it worked. It's sad that we had to do that, but it's really good. Like, the lesson I learned is you've got to protect your audience. You have one channel for an audience, and if you have content that wouldn't appeal to them, do not put that content on that channel. Create a new channel. Keep these audiences separate. And I've made that same mistake, but in a few different ways. And hopefully by now I've totally learned the lesson from that.
All right. Well, your process is keyword first, personality second, and that's counterintuitive to most creators. So why do you believe that substance beats style on YouTube search?
Well, we can really create great content, right? The stuff that we have to share is valuable. That's not the question, but the question is, what's our strategy of getting that content in front of people? How do we have the right people discover it? Because even if you say, well, maybe my content isn't that valuable, well, you could hire Steven Spielberg, you could hire Harrison Ford to act in your videos and make it great somehow. But yet even Hollywood has some strategy of getting views. They put out their trailers, they have the actors go on tonight shows, and there's a lot of lead up and promotion that leads up to a new movie. All the posters in the theaters. Well, what do? We create this content, we put it out there, and in my case, I use YouTube for marketing. So I'm trying to get it in front of new people who've never heard of me before. And how can you do that? Well, you can have a video go viral. That's pretty elusive. It's pretty hard to do. And if it does go viral, it's probably not the video you want to go viral. It's not going to generate leads. Second option is you can pay for advertising, and there's a place for advertising. But if you're talking about YouTube, the way that I found to do that, to really market, is to take advantage of YouTube search. And just think about how valuable this is. People are going to Google and YouTube and they're typing in questions that you as an expert, you have experience in something, you have the answer for it. And so that's what we focus on, is doing the research to find what are the questions that your target audience is asking. What are they asking online? And it makes it so that when you film this video, you already have your target audience built into that video. Just by posting that video, you don't have to promote it or push it somehow. The algorithm will just do its job because you're making content people are searching for. Google and YouTube will do the rest.
So with shorts and AI clips and streaming, where do you see long form thought leadership videos fitting in over the next 24 months?
Well, what's happened over the last 3 years, I would say we're going to see a continuation. So what's happened, YouTube separated shorts from videos. So a video and a short, those are two separate things on YouTube. Now, same with live stream. That's a third entity. When YouTube made that separation, videos actually have been trending longer and longer. If we think about a channel like Mr. Beast, you can look at his average length of his episodes today and compare them to 3 years ago. Today they are twice as long. So I don't know if in the next couple of years if they're going to double again, but I foresee that long content, longer videos are going to still be valuable. Talking about shorts, in my space, shorts haven't worked very well. If you're in the space of focusing on ad revenue and trying to just get as many views as possible, whoever these people are, shorts can work really well. Shorts are much more likely to go viral than a video. But in the space of search and trying to build a relationship enough to where people become a lead, we've actually had a lot of difficulty with shorts. I've done a lot of experiments, really hoping to even translate shorts into video views. And it's been a very, very small percentage, a lot smaller than I was hoping for. So I foresee that in the next couple of years being pretty consistent, that videos, longer videos are going to be the where the value is.
Let's hit pause for today's sponsor, Constant Closer. Nate's strategies can flood your inbox with fresh YouTube leads, but somebody still has to turn those hand raisers into paying clients. Constant Closer's AI sales agent does exactly that. It verifies every new email for deliverability. It sends one-to-one personalized follow-ups and even triggers text or LinkedIn nudges for warm leads so nobody slips through the cracks. Users report an open rate of around 63% and a click-to-sell conversions of north of 30%, all because the agent never forgets to follow up. So Constant Closer is our sponsor today. We're very, very grateful to have them as a team sponsor for us here on The Root of All Success. If you're ready to transform YouTube attention into booked calls, you can start for free at therealjasonduncan.com/constant closer. That's therealjasonduncan.com/constant closer. All right, back to the show. So running 60 plus channels sounds glamorous, but what routine or comfort did you have to abandon in order to scale at that level?
Well, definitely creating a team. So going back to my web design service that I started 15 years ago and then phased out roughly 6 years ago, I created a process of, it was actually a 4-step process of, we're going to find examples of websites our clients like. Then we're going to create mock-ups in Photoshop. Then we're going to get one approved and turn that into a WordPress site. Then we're going to add the content. So just very step by step. And I hired people that could do each of those steps. And so the same thing with video, where I love efficiency. Quality is an important thing to me, but strategy and efficiency is actually a higher priority. So when we film, we're going to film 20 episodes in a day. When we outline our content, we start with some curiosity hooks. How do we let people know why they should watch this video, and then deliver valuable content, and having a call to action at the end. And the editing process, my team knows what to expect. They know how we're going to design the thumbnail. So it's really just all about the systems and looking at it from that perspective of efficiency, many YouTube channels that are more entertaining and that focus on the viral type views, they might spend all day or even all week filming just one episode, where our strategy, we film 20 episodes in a day. I've actually got a filming day for myself planned tomorrow. I've got 20 outlines prepared, so I'll be filming 20 episodes tomorrow. So that's how we do it.
Wow. Now, I think in my research about some of the stuff you've done in the past, I believe I read that you turned off comments on a client's channel just to improve watch time, and critics were calling that anti-community. Is that true? And would you do it again?
So that wasn't from me. That's not something that I've done. I actually do encourage comments to be turned on. The anything bad that we've seen in comments, there are a lot of trolls or spammers, even fraudsters that will try and impersonate you. So my client Noel Randall, there are people that would create a new channel, call it the same name, pretend to be Noel Randall, and then they would go in and reply to comments, trying to convince people that the real Noel was communicating with them and, hey, message me on WhatsApp. And so we had to really police that. YouTube's made slight improvements in tracking those things, but I do recommend that you engage with your audience.
What's your one key to success? I mean, you've been successful as an entrepreneur in several different arenas, but if you had to narrow it down to one thing, what's that one key?
Maybe it's cliche, but just the persistence, the not giving up. I've been in business now for a little over 15 years, and I'd say the first 9 years were a financial roller coaster. I had plenty of successes, but if you take a successful month and then the following months after it are zeros, it's still pretty rough. And there are times where I remember one time I went to my mom and asked her, "Hey, Mom, can I borrow some money?" I asked for $5,000, and she helped me out, but she says, "Nate, why don't you just get a job?" It hurts. It really hurts. That's the reality of entrepreneurship for me. And I just, why didn't I go get a job? Several reasons. One of the big ones was I just believed in what I was doing. I knew that I was creating something better. I was certainly working hard. I was putting in at least 60 hours every single week. And then when I wasn't working, I was thinking about work. And so definitely just the persistence, maybe this is a different principle, but it's related to it, is when you make a mistake or when something doesn't work, you just learn from it, and you just try something else new. I think anyone that doesn't have those abilities, they're probably not cut out to be an entrepreneur.
How do you personally define success?
Yeah, that's evolved. In the beginning, it was all based on revenue. I remember this is a goal. I want to be a six-figure earner. I want to make $100,000. And over the years, realizing that as revenue goes up, so do expenses and growing the team. And I remember looking like, well, I'm making several $100,000 here, but I don't know that I have any of it profit. So there's a part of it that once you get to a place where you don't have to work, where you can really control your schedule, that's a level of success. For me, what I've found really is fulfilling is impact. I love making a difference. I think that's kind of why I've pivoted my business so much. I started out just creating pretty websites. Then it wasn't fulfilling enough. I wanted to make sure there were visitors on these websites. And it's like, let's put videos on the website that would at least promote your services. And then I followed the transition over to YouTube because, hey, we're getting better views there. And now that I can help people actually dominate YouTube within just a few months, it is so rewarding for me. It's so fulfilling. And so that's what I look at as the biggest success, is this impact. I mean, I can look back at over a period of a few years, the transition that my clients have gone through. They were obviously amazing people before working with me, but the position they are, I'll just give you one example. Like Stan, the annuity man, he is an annuity salesman, and yet he had a vision. I want to become America's annuity agent. And he had plans to do anything and everything. So, I mean, he was committed. He was doing radio shows, articles. He was doing social media, he was doing ads, and he also hired me to do YouTube. Well, to look at where he is now, he is by 4 times. He's America's #1 annuity agent. Like he's 4 times bigger than the second biggest, and he attributes it all to YouTube. It's pretty fulfilling. It's pretty. I love it. I love doing this stuff.
Well, I can see it in your face. I can see, and if you're not watching this on YouTube, shame on you. We're talking about YouTube today. You got to watch this on YouTube. But I can see it in Nate's face how much joy that brings him. Not just to know that, he showed him a few things to do it, but like the success that Stan's having as a result of the work that Nate and his team did. Well, I love your definition of success, and I love the honesty about that it changes. But by the definition that you gave, do you consider yourself successful?
I do. And reflecting inside about that, I remember I had benchmarks of financial success as like being successful in life, and thinking, oh man, what if I died right now? Or what if I, this was all I did? What if I didn't actually make it to become financially independent? I don't know why that was a benchmark for life success. But I've asked myself that question in recent years, and it's like, I've got a lot more that I want to do. I've got some exciting ideas and plans for the future, but if I died right now, I'm actually pretty comfortable with what I've been able to do. But again, I am not hoping for that. I've got a lot more I want to do.
What is your best piece of advice for entrepreneurs who want YouTube to drive their sales pipeline?
Well, there are 2 paths, and you just want to have clarity. The path that I teach focuses on YouTube search, but most of the advice that you'll get out there, that they might talk about keywords, but they're not going to lead you to dominating search. Their goal is to help you get viral videos and get as many views as possible, and to turn YouTube into a business. So the more you can understand that there are 2 paths. Do you want ad revenue? Do you want virality, or do you want strategic lead generation? Um, and to really focus in, like, choose for yourself. Both paths work. Both paths, um, you can succeed in a big way, but they're just drastically different. And so, if you want to generate leads, don't get too caught up in the other side of it, of focusing on you've got to have so many views to count yourself successful on YouTube. But if you do it right, you can have a video just get a small handful of views, say 30 views, and yet you'll generate a few leads and get a client from it. That's actually super valuable.
Hypothetical question here. If YouTube disappeared tomorrow, how would you rebuild a lead engine from scratch in 90 days?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough question, but I think about it a lot. YouTube is my favorite tool to use. What's interesting is Google owns YouTube, and we get a lot of views on these videos from Google. Um, if YouTube disappeared, it would mean that there was something else that was replacing it in the way of a search engine. And so if I'm creating content that people are searching for, I do need to put it somewhere that people can find it. If all my videos were deleted, that would be kind of catastrophic. But I also, I host the videos on a blog, and I transcribe them and use ChatGPT to polish up the transcript to make it more readable, like an article. So I do have my content on just, on the blog that's getting regular Google search engine traffic. If there is another, I mean, right now it is kind of like YouTube has a monopoly on this space because their search engine works so well, and every other search engine out there does not. If you think of social search engines like Facebook or LinkedIn, I mean, on LinkedIn, you can search for job profiles or kind of skills for like a resume type thing, but searching for content, their content search engine doesn't exist. Podcasts, unfortunately, there's no centralized search engine for podcasts, or Facebook's search engine doesn't, it just searches for people by name. You can't search for content. So, I mean, that's why I believe YouTube's going to be around for quite some time. But if I start to see other search engines that start to get more and more traction, I'm definitely going to going to start noticing that, and that's what would have to happen. So if YouTube did disappear, does that mean Google's disappearing too? I don't know.
Well, it is hypothetical. Who
Yeah.
knows? All right, here's we're going to close our time out today with a few rapid fire questions. First, what is your favorite YouTube tool or plugin right now?
Yeah, interesting question, because a lot of people might expect me to say TubeBuddy or vidIQ. Those are two tools that are made for YouTube creators. And if you're following the path of viral content, or focusing on that ad revenue, you want to create a channel like Mr. Beast, TubeBuddy and vidIQ can help you there. They have keyword tools built in, and so the thing that's misleading is they just don't work. They follow tactics from website SEO of 10 or 20 years ago. So a tool that I recommend, it's called the Keyword Magic tool by SEMrush. And I can mention, I am an affiliate with them. I can give you a 2-week free trial if you go to herokeywordtool.com. Even if you don't pay for the tool, I recommend just playing around with the trial, because you can type in a topic like your area of expertise, just put in 1 or 2 or 3 words, but then you can find questions that have like 8 or 9 or 10 words that still have consistent search volume. I use that tool today. For how many hours did I use that tool today? I would say about 3 hours I've used that tool today. It's really the core of honing in on your target audience, making sure your content has a built-in audience.
What's the most underrated metric in YouTube Studio?
Well, if you know me, I love search traffic, the search traffic breakdown. To find it, you have to go into YouTube Analytics and then click on the Advanced tab, and then click on Traffic Source. Most other YouTube gurus, they never talk about that. But what I love about it is you can see, when you break it down, you've got suggested traffic, you've got browse traffic, you've got external traffic, and you've got search. Search is the most valuable for lead generation, because these are people that are actively searching for what you offer as expertise. And so as you can see, that search traffic increasing from week to week, from month to month. That's the report I go to just about every day.
Who is one creator everyone should study?
I'll share with you a couple channels that I produce, but then another one that's just super fun. So if you want to study Jay Townsend, in fact, you could actually just go to YouTube and type in "become politician" and you'll find Jay. He just dominates that space. He teaches people how to win an election or how to run a campaign. Another one is Jason Schroeder. If you type in construction management on YouTube, you'll find Jason. Both these channels are great to study, how to leverage YouTube for lead generation. And then, on the other side of things, a channel that I just love for entertainment, and his filming style and his editing style is just so good. It's Outdoor Boys. He's made over 1,000 episodes, and he is taking a break for a little bit, but he's helping his son. His oldest son built his YouTube channel, so I still get my Outdoor Boys fix through that. But man, we still enjoy going back and just watching his videos. His editing style, it takes a lot of work, but it really shows.
All right. So, question for you. Could you ask me 1 or 2 questions that would give you a sense, and maybe you already know because we've talked before this show, of what it is that I do, and then tell me what I could do to dominate in YouTube in my area?
Yeah. So the first question I would ask is, what section of YouTube or what niche do you want to dominate?
Entrepreneurship would be kind of a branch, or maybe it's the tree. I know you have this leaf methodology, which I'm going to give you a chance to talk about in a minute. So entrepreneurship, and then there's more specifics around that.
Yeah. So yeah, entrepreneurship is pretty broad. So I would say we would do some digging. We'd find out, okay, well, what challenges are people facing in entrepreneurship that you love to solve, or
Yep.
things like that. And once we can narrow that down, then that's what we focus on. Is we find the branch that you want to dominate, and then we find the specific questions on that branch, and we go hard on those questions, and get you showing up at the top of YouTube.
So in a branch as or in a niche that is so wide as entrepreneurship, because there are so many pieces, how likely is it, or maybe the better question is not likelihood, but how fast do you believe it's probable for someone like me to dominate in that particular strain if we narrowed it down correctly?
Yeah, narrowing it down correctly, it's extremely likely. Like I have no doubts. And do we have time that I could share an example?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Bob Diamond, he's a client of mine, and he teaches real estate investing. Now, there's a branch that has tons of questions, make money, real estate investing. I believe 5 words that we found hundreds of questions on it, but yet there are thousands of people that have talked about making money in real estate. So that would not be the best place to start. But Bob is also an attorney, and he knows he's a tax attorney. And so when we found in real estate investing, there's something called a tax sale. I admit I don't know what that is personally, but he sure does. And so we focused on tax sales as just one branch. Any questions people are asking about tax sales, even though the real estate space on YouTube is extremely competitive, we were able to have him dominate the tax sale branch within just a few months. And he doesn't dominate it completely. I'd say he's about 50% of the way there, meaning about of all the questions we found on that branch, he's ranking at the top of YouTube for about half of them so far.
Wow.
And we're going to get him there, to the top.
That's great. Well, let's talk about your leaf strategy, and because I know that's something that you teach, this strategy called the leaf strategy. So tell the listeners as we finish up today a little about the leaf strategy, how they can get access to it in a webinar, and then anything else you want to add to that.
Yeah, so I use a tree analogy where you've got a broad trunk that goes out to the branches, that goes out to the leaves. And when we talk about questions that are really specific, that's what a leaf is. So a leaf represents the questions on your tree, right? Your topic tree. So as we do keyword research, we start with the trunk. Like, what do you have expertise in? Like you said, entrepreneurship. And then we look at all the different branches on entrepreneurship. And the further we go out, we start to find these questions, and we group the questions into different branches. It's a little bit of a tedious process. That's the role that I take on. I don't require you to become an expert in that. I just let's get digging, and that's where I spent my few hours today doing with 2 different clients. But what that does is we compare one branch to another, and when you look at questions that are grouped together, you can realize, what, this branch is my target audience more than the other one. These people are a little bit more advanced or whatnot, that the demographics, or their industry. And so by doing that, it allows you to have clarity, and what's the word I'm looking for? It allows you to have confidence that you really will be able to dominate that. It gives you a clear path. So I love teaching this visually. So I have an hour-long webinar that I do where I take people step by step through that leaf strategy, and I show you a lot of examples. So by the end of the webinar, people have clarity on if the leaf strategy is a fit for them, but even more valuable is they'll know how to implement it. They'll know how to get their videos ranked at the top of YouTube. So the place to register for the webinar is theleafstrategy.com.
All right, you heard it there. Go to theleafstrategy.com, theleafstrategy.com. And then you also mentioned your favorite tool earlier, and I want to mention that. I'll give you your affiliate link, and that's herokeywordtool.com, which will allow you to use that tool that you're from SEMrush that you were talking about, the keyword research tool. But I would recommend people highly go to watch the webinar that Nate does at theleafstrategy.com. You can follow him on all social media. You can look him up at Nate Woodbury or betheherostudios.com. Nate, congratulations on your success and your fulfillment, because I could tell that you really love what you're doing. So congratulations on that. Thank you for being here on the show today. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Yeah, some good questions.
All right, folks, you know what time it is. It's time for another edition of JD's Public Service Rants. This is the part of the show where I call out the little things that shouldn't have to be said, but clearly they do. So if you're guilty of this one, consider yourself officially put on notice. I'm going to talk about people who go walk out on the greenway. Walking 4 or 5 people wide on a greenway? No. That's not a casual stroll. That's a human barricade. Shared paths work just like the road. You're supposed to stick to the right. And if you're in a group, just be aware of other people who are trying to get by. Nobody wants to ask you to move like they're negotiating a treaty. Come on, people. Stay to the right. Well, that's it for today's JD's Public Service Rants. And if you've got an idea for one, send it my way. And remember, don't be that guy. Thank you for listening to The Root of All Success today. I am your host, The Real Jason Duncan, and my guest was Nate Woodbury, BeTheHeroStudios.com. Such a great story about how to use YouTube. And if you're not trying to be an influencer and go ad revenue, which is what I want, I don't want to do that. I want to do what Nate's teaching. Go check him out at BeliefStrategy.com. Sign up for his webinar. Learn how to do this on your own. Tune in again next time on The Root of All Success when I talk with yet another very successful person about his or her journey to success. Until then, as always, I am the real Jason Duncan, and Jesus is King.
Attention business owners. Attention business owners. Feeling burnout from running your business? Uncertain if you're nearing burnout? Take our free 10-question business burnout test at businessburnouttest.com to discover where you stand. With just 10 quick questions, you'll learn how to immediately begin making changes to regain freedom and success. Cut your daily operations time in half. Improve your quality of life and prepare your business for your future exit without losing revenue or profit. Visit businessburnouttest.com now and take the test. Thank you for listening to another edition of The Root of All Success with the real Jason Duncan. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, visit therootofallsuccess.com to access the show notes and other helpful resources. Follow Jason on social media at The Real Jason Duncan. See you again next time here on The Root of All Success.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.